Okay, so what you just saw there was 83.8k of damage. Actually, it's more DPS than that because it went down because I didn't do anything while I was in combat. It was like 9k DPS. And Arcane Blast hit for 24k total damage. There were 3 casts. None of them were crits. The min was 7k. The max was like 9k. Arcane Barrage, 1 cast, 20k damage. One spell hit for 20k damage. I have 21k health. Or yeah. Touch of the Magi, that accumulates the damage that you do in an 8-second window. That exploded for 12k, but that is 83k damage. 83k damage, man. In a game where the health pulls are around 20k. Yeah. Let's go test this out on some mobs. Going to try the Wombo combo on an elite. Oh, there it is. So that was like 90k damage there. Let's check the damage. Arcane Blast, 3 casts. Total 41k damage for 3 casts. The minimum critical hit was 16k. My health is 21k. Okay. Minimum 16k critical hit. Max 17.8k. Normal hits range from 7.3k. I guess there's only one normal hit, so there's 2 crits maybe. Okay, Arcane Barrage did not crit. Right, damage. There was several casts of it, but the big one was 10k. That was not a crit. So that is a lot of damage right there. A lot of damage. And Touch of the Magi, when that blew up for like 9k. Crazy stuff.
Okay, so here is what I was doing to get those numbers. First of all, I make sure I have all my intellect buffs up, arcane intellect. I'm using a flask that gives intellect. I'm using food that gives intellect. And I was using this potion of spectral intellect, which gives even more intellect. I'm a troll, so I use berserking. Probably not, necessary, but it helps get the cast off and get the cast off in that 8-second Touch of the Magi window before it explodes. Okay, I'm using Presence of Mind because that will give 3 Arcane Blasts that are instant cast. So that's important for getting those casts off in that 8-second window that you have from Touch of the Magi. And using Arcane Power. Arcane Power, you deal 60% more spell damage. But the way Arcane Power works now is that when you use it, you get a Rune of Power for free. And Rune of Power increases your spell damage by 40% while you stand in or near that ring. All right, then we have Touch of the Magi I mentioned earlier. Right, it will accumulate 25% of the damage that you deal to the target in an 8-second window and then explode for that amount. But the key thing here, I mean, that's a nice little extra bit of damage. It generates 4 arcane charges. All right, so keep that in mind. And I am using the Kyrian ability, which I think I will find up here somewhere. Radiant Spark. So the target takes 12% increased damage. The base is 10%. There is a conduit to increase that, so I've done that. The target takes 12% increased damage from your direct damage spells, stacking each time they are struck. It lasts for 4 spells. So it's like this stuff has all been worked on together to work out perfectly, because Presence of Mind gives you 3 Arcane Blast, so that's 3 of the 4, and then the very last one's going to be Arcane Barrage. But all of these are going to be done when they're fully empowered, right? Because you're going to have 4 of the arcane charges. So when you look at Arcane Blast right here, right, blast the target with energy, dealing, X amount of damage. Each arcane charge increases the damage by 70%. So that's 4 times 7, right? Increased damage. 4 times 70, increased damage right there. 280% increased damage on those, because all 3 of them are fully empowered, right? And then the Arcane Barrage is fully empowered. Right, for each arcane charge deals 35% additional damage. Right, so there you have 4 times 35 increased damage. You see all these damage bonus multipliers? Right, it's a lot. There is a lot. So, going back to not Touch the Magi, but the Radiant Spark, because I think I forgot to mention it. So really what I'm doing here is I'm trying to boost up Arcane Barrage as big as possible. But these other spells that I'm casting still get the benefit of all these huge damage bonuses. That's why you see me critting an Arcane Blast for 17k. But the biggest potential hitter is Arcane Barrage, which did crit for 20k, right, in one of my examples. Because here it's stacking, right? It stacks up to four times. So you're going to have a 48% increased damage on the Arcane Barrage, very last thing. Now, things aren't typically making it that far. Obviously, a player is not going to survive that. If you get this off on a player, it's going to be way overkill. I mean, you could start on one player, kill them, move it to another player, probably kill them, and then maybe, if you're getting crits, move to another player and kill them. You'd probably be able to kill 3 players with this if everything's critting. So what I wanted to talk about was the Legendaries. So the Legendary I have, Arcane Barrage deals an additional 40% damage against targets below 35% health. So another 40% stacked on top of all these damage multipliers. I'm not going to bother to go through and add them all up. But this is why this is doing so much damage. And I really think Blizzard really puts themselves in a corner when they allow this type of damage multiplier stacking. Because what do they do now? This has to be nerfed, right? I mean, there's no way they can let the game go live. Actually, there is a way. Probably going to go live like this. Unless some streamer watches my channel and then makes this popular. Which has happened before, by the way, I'm pretty sure. So no way it goes live unless it stays under the radar, because you're doing like 90k damage in a game where people have like maybe 30k health pool, with kind of that first starter gear, getting beyond, the world quest gear, basically. I mean, how can you allow that to happen? So it has to get nerfed, but then what do they nerf? Do they nerf the base damage of the spells so that when they get multiplied, it's not that much? So that's going to really hurt Arcane Mage outside of the cooldown windows. Or do they nerf the cooldowns themselves? They have to reduce the percentage damage bonuses. But then that means you have to use them all together at the same time, right, in order to get a big hit. So they really pinned themselves in the corner. I'm not sure how they solved this problem without basically trashing Arcane Mage. You know, because you have all these, I mean, they have to rework a whole bunch of different abilities, you know, so you don't get this huge, ridiculous stacking damage multiplier. But how do they do that without completely redesigning the class? You know, it's not something that they can just fix very easily. We'll see what they do if they do anything at all.